The goal is to debunk again the continuous use and propaganda of the SLPP trying to sell the proportional representation to the international community. That is the goal, and we're going to keep fighting and we're going to keep resisting. Guys, I know we have other bigger issues to deal with, but today what I want to do here is I'm going to show you guys a whole, interview that was done on News Central, Nigeria. It's a news TV channel out in Nigeria, News Central. So my vision here is to expose these guys and provide as much information as I could for News Channel Central of Nigeria, like I said earlier, so that they'll be prepared in the future to handle these cases that has to do with the PR system. My goal is to break down the Constitution for them again, which I've done a couple of these lives, right? So I'm not going to go too much into like the Constitution and all of that, but I'm just going to break it down for them to understand based on the interview that I'm about to share with you guys. But whilst I let you guys come in, everybody, let me go ahead and play some, videos here for you guys.
You're welcome back to the conversation. Now, away from the Republic of South Africa, President of Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio, has issued a directive ordering the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone to adopt the country's own proportional representation voting system. In 1996, the country conducted its parliamentary elections under a proportional representation system where parliamentarians got elected based on the percentage of the popular vote secured by their parties nationwide, so long as they got more than 5%. But in 2008, Sierra Leone introduced single-member constituencies with MPs elected on a first-past-the-post basis, where the candidate with the highest number of votes is declared winner.
Now, the Electoral Commissioner Mohamed Kone said the decision to go back to the earlier PR system followed a presidential directive in line with the country's constitution. He said because the country's constituency boundaries had expired and could not be redrawn within the constitutionally slated period ahead of the next election.
So first of all, guys, the first thing I want to break is, again, I'm just going to help out these guys at News Central, right? Because I know they need to understand these things. First of all, where is the proclamation? I've always been asking about where is the proclamation that President Bio made? Proclamation is a documentation that should be shown so that everybody would see this document where the president instructed Mohamed Kone as the NEC commissioner to use the proportional representation system. That is the one thing I've been asking for, and to this day, no Sierra Leonean has seen the directive from the president. And when you listen to Mohamed Kone, when he was actually making that speech, he said the president instructed him. But where is that documentation to this day? There is no documentation to the effect, and nobody has seen it. Nobody has seen a proclamation. A proclamation, again, when being signed by any president. And again, this is for the News Central. So next time, if they're asking these questions, that could be a good point to start with. Where is the proclamation? Because when the president gives a directive like that, it is a proclamation because you know why? A circumvented parliament. Parliament are the only ones that can make laws. But because the president was not able to get his way in parliament, so a circumvented parliament to use a proclamation directing Mohamed Kone to use the PR system. Because I've done a lot of these lives, I'm taking my time, right? You guys understand exactly where I'm coming from. But that is the first point I want to make clear based on, the question and, what the point that the young lady is trying to make here. She's making a very brilliant point. But I just want to interject with that. First of all, where was the proclamation? To this day, we've not seen the proclamation. No Sierra Leonean has seen the proclamation. We haven't seen it, and this should be public information. It should not be secret. So when Mohamed Kone said that, he's going to use the PR system, then definitely we want to ask about this document. Where is this document to show that Mohamed Kone is going to use the PR system? Where's the instruction from the president? That's the first part I want to, let you guys pay attention to, because
and could not be redrawn within the constitutionally slated period ahead of the next election. Kone said the decision to go back to the earlier PR system followed a presidential directive in line with the country's constitution. He said because the country's constituency boundaries had expired and could not be redrawn within the constitutionally slated period ahead of the next election.
right there, guys. Let's stop right there again. So to that point, the boundary delimitation. Matter of fact, I have a video that I'll play for you guys, and this would help the News Central. Hopefully, they'll see this. You guys that, maybe you have connections with these folks, maybe they'll see this. But let me share this video, with them so they can see what we talk when we talk about the boundary delimitations. We don't need to worry about having new constituencies at this particular point in time. But let me play this video from the professional themselves, the seasoned professionals in Sierra Leone, talking about and expressing his concern about this. Listen to this video, everybody.
For responsibility of the Electoral Commission for Sierra Leone to review the boundaries, the electoral boundaries of the country. And they should do that within intervals of 5 years or 7 years. And they cannot also do that unless the green light comes from Parliament. So if all of these things happen, and mind you also, to do boundary limitation does not only, hinge on the population census. There are so many factors that NEC should take into consideration before they go ahead and do it. But all what we are saying, now they have a schedule. Already they've announced the date for elections. They've also announced the date for elections for permanent chief members of parliament in February. And they have, May are the elections. Then June, we have the election, presidential and parliamentary election. So if we have that schedule that is set, so now we have the voter registration. Voter registration starts in September and ends in October. So if we decide to do, or they decide to do voter registration first, then after that, they do a boundary limitation. It means the whole process will be met with a lot of problems. And many people will find it difficult even to locate the areas where they will go to cast their vote. So that's why we're saying, whatever NEC is planning to do, let them take all of these things into consideration, that there are other processes they've already lined up. And the schedule is very, very tight. And the moment to falter in meeting the deadline of one schedule will eat into the other, and that will eventually affect the date for the elections.
Stay there with us, Saliu, but let us also make something very clear to our audience that we invited the communications person from the Electoral Commission, and we are referred to the Western Region chairperson, commissioner, who said, of course, they are not commenting on this particular matter. So we reached out. But the
guys,
issue...
That's it right there. I wanted you guys to hear that from the professionals. These are the guys that have been doing this work for so long, and they were advising President Bio to say, don't go this route that you guys are taking. First of all, let's go back. The census. Why did we need a census? We did not need a census at the time because we've always had our censuses every 10 years. And I can show you the historical, context of how we've had our censuses in Sierra Leone. Let me show you guys this. So this is the issue of censuses in Sierra Leone. I want you guys to see this, right? So the country had its first, I'm going to the third paragraph. The country had its first population count in 1802 in what is now the Western area. After that, it took 161 years to conduct the first modern population census covering the whole country in April 1963. Since then, Sierra Leone has continued conducting censuses covering the whole country in December 1974, December 1985, December 2004, and December 2015, and the midterm census in December 2021. But what's different on all of these dates? If you guys note, if you look at all the other dates that we've seen, at least it's between 10-year period. So 10 years. So, of course, 1985, of course, it took longer between 1985 to 2004, a very long time. But however, and that was because, of course, with all the confusion and everything else going on, 1992 came, NPRC overthrew, Marabio, President Bio was involved in the coup that overthrew the legitimate president that we had, Joseph Saidu Momo, at the time. So there was no stability, right? Until elections and everything. So between 1985, the next census would have been 1995. But because of the coup in 1992, we had no census, all because Marabio disrupted this President Bio, because that's the guy they call him, this News Central Bio, so they know what we're talking about. They disrupted the whole process, so nothing was happening until we had the elections in 1996, right? And then the first census was done again after 1985 was done in 2004. So it's every 10 years. The next census was supposed to occur in 2015 and 2014. But we did not have that next census in 2014 because of Ebola, right? But you see, it's a 10-year period. Every census has to be done every 10 years. And then 2015, the next census should have been in 2025. So midterm census was not, it was illegitimate. It was an illegal census. But these guys are doing everything to lay the spade work to rig the elections June 2020, this June that is coming, June 24th in this year, 2023. They've been doing everything they could to rig the elections, deprive the people from registering, depriving the people from verifying the registration, depriving citizens, their rights to vote by deleting the voter register. All of these things, they've been doing it going towards this election. So that was why they came with the midterm census. The midterm census is nothing like a midterm census. And this is what I want to show you guys as well, so you guys would have an understanding of where we're at. You remember when World Bank, all of these people, actually, European Union. Let me show you guys the World Bank. Let me show you guys World Bank first. I want you guys to see World Bank, and then I'll show you the European Union. When World Bank actually, said they cannot sponsor the census, and this is all the information that I want to provide to News Central. This is what I want them to see, to understand that, leading to all of the PR system that they are talking about now, this is how we get to where we got, right? So I want them to understand all of this stuff. So let me read this. Let's put this on the screen here. Let's read this together. As you can see, this is what the World Bank said. To date, while work on most action points is underway, with some completed, several critical action points require further technical work to be satisfactorily addressed, including evaluation of the pilot census, the field operation plan for the enumeration, and ensuring enumerators are adequately trained. All these outstanding actions are necessary and must be addressed prior to commencing data collection to minimize the risk of inadequate and poor data quality. There is insufficient time between now and December 10th, 2021 to satisfactorily address all pending actions. Therefore, while our technical team remains available to provide continued preparatory support, regretfully, we will be unable to provide further technical assistance nor disburse any further funds. I want you guys to see this. Watch this on the screen. Any further funds under IDA grant number D584-SL to support the midterm population census following the announced inception of data collection on December 10th, 2021. So I want the News Central to understand these points, because unfortunately, even though they had one of the interviewees who contributed to the program, they don't have the capability of showing stuff like this. And this is why I do what I do, to show these kinds of documentation, to prove and just, make the point very clear for everybody to see exactly what we're talking about. But that's what the World Bank said about the population census, which is why we're dealing with all of these problems that we're dealing with down the road, all the way to the PR. This stemmed from even canceling the local council elections. You guys know we told Parliament, don't allow these guys to cancel the local council elections. They sat by and they watched these guys, President Bio, they discontinued, the local council elections. This is why we're dealing with this PR system that they're actually trying to force down our throat. But to get to this PR system, they had to come with the census, right? They had to bring this midterm census, which was unconstitutional, illegal, because again, we only have censuses based on what I showed you guys on the screen here. We only have censuses every 10 years. So the last census we had was 2015, and the next census should be 2025, because that's when we should prepare to do another boundary delimitation for 2028 presidential and parliamentary elections. You guys understand what I'm talking about, right? So I want the News Central to understand this. And matter of fact, I'm going to start from actually, I'm just going to start from this one.
The boundary delimitation exercise, which had commenced, is halted with immediate effect. The main opposition, All People's Congress Party, has said it is considering a legal challenge to the move, which the APC's representative, Sidi Yahya Tunis, describes as ill-advised. And now, joining us for this conversation, we have Abdulmalik Bangura, PR and media consultant, all the way from Sierra Leone, Freetown. Thank you so much for joining us in the conversation.
Thank you all. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So first off, Abdul Malik, I mean, with this news, what has been the people's reaction and even your own reaction to the government of Sierra Leone decision to drop its current voting system and return to proportional representation just how many months to the next elections?
Well, it comes in the face various criticism from opposition supporters who are decrying this change at this particular moment in time when we are like 8 months to our June presidential election, for which President Julius Maada Bio is seeking a re-election. Safe to say that the current composition in our Sierra Leone House of Parliament does not favor the current ruling party, and we've seen a lot of constitutional conundrum in the House of Parliament. There was a time even the election of the Speaker of Parliament was not the main opposition did not participate in the election of the current Speaker of Parliament. We had issue of constitutional instruments being torn in Parliament. We had issue of opposition MPs attacking the ruling party officials, even in the well of Parliament. I think that emanated from the fact that Sierra Leone in the Mano River Basin is the only country where the main opposition has majority in the House of Parliament. As we are now, we have 136 elected, 132 elected members of Parliament, of which the main opposition has 58 and the ruling party, the main opposition has 59, the ruling party has 58, a third party called the National Grand Coalition has 4, and the Coalition for Change political party has 8 MPs. So the issue is that even as we are now going to the next election, being that Sierra Leone is an ethno-regional and ethno-political divided nation, it is but certain that the main opposition will still have majority in the House of Parliament, because previously, following the 2018 election, they won 68 seats and the ruling party won 49. So it was through a court order that 10 members of Parliament were removed from the main opposition and handed in to the ruling party. And that was how the ruling party got majority in the House. Well, first coming forward to the 2018 election, there was a by-election in Tonkolili, which was on a seat that was held by the ruling party, and the main opposition won it again. So as we are now, the main opposition has the majority of seats in Parliament. I think the ruling party wants to prevent that, because looking at the district block system, it favors them a lot. Let's look, for instance, Western Urban Rural District or Western Area Urban District, which has the capital, Freetown. Western Area Urban District has been a heartland and stronghold of the ruling All People's Congress Party. In 2012 election, the main opposition by then, which was the Sierra Leone People's Party, that is currently now in power, had over 200,000 votes. And the ruling party had about 400,000 votes. But we found out that of all the 29 constituencies in Freetown, all of them were won by the All People's Congress Party.
Okay.
So we see there are cases a party might have done very well with regards to getting votes in a particular district, but cannot win the single member constituency because of the threshold, being that some may even lost it by just 1,000. You have MPs losing seats by just 12 votes. The last time we had an issue of an MP losing a seat by 112 votes.
Okay,
So all of these
Malik,
things, I think,
please permit me to bring in our second guest for this discussion. We have Kodafo, who's also joining from Freetown in Sierra Leone. Good evening to you, Cody.
Good evening, Godwin. How are you?
This is Benga. We're happy to have you. So I'll just go straight into it. What are the issues with the first past the post system, and why is the government of President Julius Bio changing the system? What are its political implications? Why is it changing the voting system to return to the old one of proportional representation?
As far as I'm concerned, I don't think it's a change of any system, because we first of all had the first PR system in 1996. That time it was Dr. James Jonah who was the National Electoral Commissioner, and during that period we actually had the 1991 Constitution suspended as per the NPRC decree. So it was difficult to reach out to specific areas within the country because the war was still raging. So we had the PR system. In 2002, we followed suit. So saying that it is a change in the process, I don't look at it from that perspective, because it is constitutional. And the Constitution says that in a situation we are in, we don't have constituencies delimited. Definitely, the PR system can be recommended.
So why wasn't it used in the last general elections that got President Julius Maada Bio into office?
Okay, already the 2015 constituency and the 2015 population and housing census paved way for the constituency level elections, because they had already done boundary delimitation for constituencies and wards. So definitely that would not have worked because we already had the constituencies. But quite recently, we had this 2021 midterm census that was organized, that was conducted. And as per the 2021 midterm census, definitely the figures do change. And if the figures do change,
guys, you know, this is what we're saying. You see how these guys are twisting themselves into pretzel just so that they can continue to deceive the rest of the world. But they're deceiving themselves. And that is why I want to do this, because we have to break these things down, which I already did. And if you're just joining me, by the way, I want you guys to write this stuff down. If you have a pen with you, have a paper. These dates are very important. I want you guys to keep these in mind. Now, the last census that we did in Sierra Leone was 2015. Our censuses are done every 10 years. So we did 2004. Well, from 1985, we were not able to get another census until 2004. Of course, because again, President Joseph Saidu Momo came in 1985, and in 10 years would have been us to have the other census. But what happened in 1992, like I said earlier, right? Maada Bio came with the NPRC, Strasser, and they overthrew President Joseph Saidu Momo, the same President Bio, right? So that disrupted the process. So the next census that we had was in 2004. Took a long time, but we were consistent again. We were back on track. 2004, the next census should have been 10 years. It would have been 2015, 2014. However, it didn't occur in 2014 because of the Ebola. So we pushed it to 2015. 2015, the next census, 10 years, would have been 2025. These dates are very important. I want you to remember that. That was how these guys, first of all, started bastardizing our constitution. And this is what I want the News Central to understand. That's the first part of this. Now, let's come to boundary delimitation. Again, write this down. Very important for you to have these dates. Boundary delimitation was done in 2017. That was the last one. So 2017, the constituencies, when we do the boundary delimitation, these constituencies have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years. So the last boundary delimitation was done in 2017 plus 5. That's 2022, right? So 2022 is the year we can start. November of 2022, last year, was when we could start doing the boundary delimitations again. So again, these constituencies that we currently have, for example, constituency 110 in Godrich, it is good till 2024. 2024, after that, if we don't do a boundary delimitation after 2024, that's when all of these constituencies die. It is in the Constitution, section 38, subsection 4, 5 to 7 years. So again, the last boundary delimitation was done in 2017. I want the News Central to capture this. It is very important for them. So next time, if they bring these guests over, they have these points to actually ask these questions. Or better yet, the News Central, if they want, I don't mind spending time with them to break this down for their audiences across the world so they would understand exactly what it is. So the last boundary delimitation was done in 2017, and our boundaries, our constituencies, have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years. I want you guys to see this. I want you guys to see what the European Union actually said about the census. This is how the European Union condemned the census. The European Union made it very clear. At the bottom, the last paragraph, right there on the page, guys. The midterm census is unprecedented. The stated reason for it is highly contested. The use of an optional census to provide data which might be used to change electoral boundaries shortly before an election is not conducive to the political atmosphere of a good electoral practice. So I want the News Central to capture this data. This is, again, I'm going to put both on the screen. It's for them to see it. This is from the European Union. So I want them to furnish themselves with this information so that when people come on these interviews, they would have this information, because I'm sure they would have to go over this again one more time. Because as far as we know, the PR system is not going to work. It's not going to work. And we are not going to use the PR system in Sierra Leone because it's unconstitutional. It has been challenged by the writer of one of the writers of the Constitution, Dr. Abdoulaye Conte. And to this day, the Judiciary has not picked up this matter. Again, this is section 38 of Sierra Leone's Constitution. I want them to see it. Section 38 of Sierra Leone's Constitution, right? I want them to see this. So let me put this on the screen. The Electoral Commission shall review the division of Sierra Leone into constituencies at intervals of not less than 5 and not more than 7 years. That's it. The whole boundary delimitation, we do boundary delimitation for let we establish with constituencies them. So you go look at certain area, like we President Kuruma, then we had Falaba, all inside, and then district, then the Karine, then new district, then they, because waiting to the population don't become dense, so those people needed to be represented. So when they did the boundary delimitation, they had new constituencies. And those constituencies, we used them in the 2023 elections. So it is the same now. This boundary delimitation, if we had done it, we will not use it until 2028 elections. Because the constituencies that we have right now, these constituencies are good till 2024. Because again, look at the Constitution, subsection 4. The Electoral Commission shall review the division of Sierra Leone into constituencies at intervals of not less than 5 and not more than 7 years. When was the last time that we did a boundary delimitation? 2017. 5 years from 2017 is what? 2022. And 7 years to 2017, almost. 2024. That means our boundaries, our constituencies have a lifespan till 2024. Therefore, we're going to use them in the next elections this June 2023. So whatever boundary delimitations that we did, those constituencies that were formed will only be used in 2028. So let me get back to the Constitution for, I hope you guys understand all of this. But let me take again, News Central. I want to take them to, section 38(1). Because that was the basis of the start of the interview. I'm gonna let you guys continue to listen to the interview. But let me just break this down with them, for them. I want them to see this, part of the Constitution. Section 38A, it is an amended section of the Constitution. We only came with section 38A because we retrospectively went back. We go back and look, say, hey, when we used in 1996, when we used the district block system, proportional representation, now because all of the areas, we were not able to access these areas. You guys remember all of that. The rebel war was going on. So because the rebel war was ongoing, we were not able to reach these areas, and that was why we used the proportional representation system, the district block system, in 1996. So once we had established constituencies, we never touched the section 38A, and that was what the lady asked. So I want to show them that part of the Constitution. Where under any law for the time being in force, a date for a general election of members of parliament has been appointed, but constituencies have not been established. You see, guys, this is what you call condition precedent. It says if constituencies have not been established. Can somebody tell me we don't have constituencies right now? The constituencies are good till 2024. Our elections is coming up in June 2023, this year. This is what I want to share with News Central to catch these points. I want them to catch these little areas. It's very important. This is a constitutional crisis. This is a constitutional violation. One of the writers of the Constitution, Dr. Abdullahi Okonte, has actually contested the fact that the PR is unconstitutional. The proportional representation is unconstitutional. So I want the News Central to see this and understand where we're coming from. This says, at the time when general elections of members of parliament has been appointed, but constituencies have not been established. Hey guys, tell me, we have constituencies that are established. They are good till 2024. Let's continue. In accordance with subsection 3 of section 38, for the purposes of such election, the president may, listen, the president may consult, after consultation with the Electoral Commission, direct that such election shall be conducted on the basis of existing district, on the basis of the existing districts in a manner to be known as the district block representation system instead of constituencies. Hey guys, tell me, we already have constituencies existing. Why would we go back to use the PR system when that was only a condition precedent if there is no constituencies existing? And what does the Constitution say again? Let's go back to section 38. I want you guys to listen. Subsection 4. It says, the Electoral Commissioner, this right here, the Electoral Commission shall review the division of Sierra Leone into constituencies at intervals of not less than 5 and not more than 7 years. When was the last time we did a boundary delimitation? 2017. 2017 plus 7 is 2024. 2017 plus 5 is 2022. So that means the boundaries, the constituencies that we have right now, they are good till 2024, which means we have constituencies existing. So the condition precedent has not been met for a PR system. And this is what I want the channel, the news network, to pay attention to. Right here. So section 38A1 makes it very clear. And again, let's read it together. It says, where under any law for the time being in force, a date for a general election of members of parliament has not been appointed. We've already announced a date for elections before they came with the PR system. President Bio already announced elections. And that means constituencies existed at the time when he was announcing the elections. Hey guys, these things are not rocket science. This thing is so simple, but these guys are making it complicated. But that is why I want to, educate News Central for them to capture this data and be able to use it in future interviews. Section 38A is an amended section of the Constitution. It says, at a date, if the general election of members of parliament has been appointed, but constituencies have not been established. In accordance with subsection 3. What does subsection 3 of 38 says? Let's go to that. Subsection 3 says, the boundaries of each constituency shall be such that the number of inhabitants thereof is as nearly equal to the population quota as is reasonably practicable, provided that the number of inhabitants in such a constituency may be greater or less than the population quota in order to take account of means of communications, geographical features, density of population, the distribution of different communities, the areas and boundaries of the chiefdoms and other administrative and traditional areas. But again, this is what the Constitution says. Section 38(4). You see? Section 38(4). The Electoral Commission shall review the division of Sierra Leone into constituencies at intervals of not less than 5 and not more than 7 years. And I've already said everything, but let's go back to the interview. I want you guys to listen to the interview so you guys would have an idea of where we're going. Let's listen to the interview.
Change. And if the figures do change, definitely there was going to be boundary delimitation. But in August of this year,
listen to this.
Organized, that was conducted, and as per the 2021 midterm census, definitely the figures do change. And if the figures do change, definitely there was going to be boundary delimitation. But in August of this year, the Electoral Commission announced that they were going to start a boundary delimitation, but that could not go further because we had some hitch, political hitch, wherein we had this demonstration, the nationwide demonstration sort of, and the process was stalled. And if we don't have the boundary delimitation done, definitely there was going to be some new constituencies, there was going to be maybe some new districts as per, as we were foreseen. So if that is not done, definitely the only system that can work well at this moment is the PR system.
Okay, Abdul Malik, as you rightly said, it's about 8 months to the elections, and we saw the opposition now kicking against it and considering a legal challenge. Now, let's come down to the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone. Now, it started its voters registration in early September. How prepared is the commission for this whole exercise?
And what's the response like? Are people coming up? What's the turnout like?
Guys, let's get this right. Let's get this right. Listen to this.
Of my colleague just now, and I think to some extent it does not reflect the general view of Sierra Leonean, because right from what he was saying, he said that the constitution makes provision that the event that there is no constituency in the country, then a district PR system could be used. But as it is now, there are constituencies in Sierra Leone. Even from my analysis, I already told you that there are 132 elected constituencies in Sierra Leone. So they are pegging everything on the fact that there was a protest in August 10 that prevented them. To me, that particular reason is completely out of place, because you don't need to go to the streets to delimit constituencies.
And
these are things that are done officially in offices. You can even.
And I'm happy I've already talked about that, what he's saying. The only thing is, Malik did not emphasize the fact that the section of the Constitution that makes the provision and the lifespan of the constituencies. That's the only area he didn't emphasize, that they have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years. I wish they had given New Central, which I've already done. I've already done that. Tell them that the last boundary delimitation was done in 2017, and these current constituencies that we have, they have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years. But he's doing a good job so far, trying to be very, very pragmatic and very, very. Let's listen to him.
Do it on laptops and all. So for them to have even made such excuse was itself completely outrageous, because that's
so what do you think is the reason behind this? Some observers have said, he's doing it so he can secure his chances in the next general elections. What do you make of this, Abdul Malik?
Pardon?
What do you think is the reasoning behind the ruling political party going ahead to change the voting system? Some have accused President Biya of trying to secure his chances in the next general elections. What do you make of this?
Exactly. You see, President Biya has had a strange first term, 5 years in governance, because he did not get majority in the House of Parliament. He's now a president, but even as we are now in our country, the main opposition has majority in our House of Parliament. So going into an election when the opposition has majority in the House of Parliament, and knowing fully that in 2018, the main opposition directly won 68 seats, that was sure. They won 68 seats, while the ruling party only won 49. So if you are going into an election in this particular setting, taking into consideration that in Sierra Leone, people vote on ethno-regional and ethno-political way. There is no way, even you may do very well in another person's home, but you cannot win constituencies in single members, because there are some constituencies, it is certain a party can win it, no matter what. So that's the issue. So even if it goes into the 2023 election, in the manner and way in which the constituencies are set in Sierra Leone, it is obvious that the opposition are going to get majority. So that's the issue. So
that is a very good job. He's doing a good job so far, right? So let's let the video continue. Let's
they are now using the district block system, because if they vote in the district block system, you may have instances for which the ruling party will have seats in Putloko, in Makeni, in Bombali, in places that they never had seats except through a proportional way, because they look at the percentages. That's how it works. You will look at the percentage a political party scores in a particular district, then you allocate seats to that person. It is not a word, but there is one key issue that has prompted the attention of various human rights activists in Sierra Leone, that this particular system kills the issue of independent people going for seats.
Okay, from that independent people going for seats, Abdul Malik, let's take Paul's view on.
So Abdul Malik is making some serious points, but he kind of just digressed into this independent, candidates, how it is going to affect them. And I'll let you guys listen to that. But again, everything that he is saying so far is on point, with the PR system being unconstitutional and all of that, right? Provisions of the Constitution made it very clear. Section 38A that was amended, makes it very clear that is, if at the time when the elections were announced, parliamentary elections were announced, if constituencies don't exist, that is the only time the president may consult with the NEC commissioner. But at the time when President Bio was actually announcing the elections for June 24th, 2023, you'll remember that debacle, right? There were constituencies existing. That was why he even announced the elections. So when he announced the elections, there was no reason for him to come back and say that even though we have constituencies that have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years, when the last boundary delimitation will be due in 2017. So the next one, it's good. These boundaries are pretty much good until 2024. So even if we had done boundary delimitation in November and December of last year, that boundary and they will do that new constituency that they will draw up in order to take effect state in next elections 2028. Because again, these members of parliament that are in parliament right now, constituencies that we can go there until after their lifespan. And even where parliament dissolve, it don't mean say the constituencies they die. Those constituencies would exist until after the elections of June 24th, 2023, which is a few months from now, right? So that is what I want everybody to understand. But that is what Abdul Malik is saying. And those are the points he's making, and he's on point so far. And that was how I wanted to brush up and show you guys the Constitution so you guys will see exactly what the Constitution says when it comes to this PR system. But let's listen to what the SLPP guy has to say. Listen to this.
All that preparedness for the election and this independent candidacy for this elections. What are your takes on this?
Independent candidates cannot.
That question is directed to Fodi Kamara, please.
Hi. The issue around independent candidates, it is clear from what the EACSL has released that they are going to allow independent candidates to vie for parliamentary seats, at per district PR system. So if Malik is saying that this is going to affect independent candidates, then I'm afraid I don't know where he's getting his information from. And secondly, he mentioned that the majority of citizens are not happy about.
Before it gets to the citizens not happy, let's talk about what he's saying there. When it comes to the fact that, listen, guys, listen to this.
Where he's getting his information from. And for parliamentary seats, at per district PR system. So if Malik is saying that this is going to affect independent candidates, then I'm afraid I don't know where he's getting his information from. And secondly, he mentioned that the majority of citizens are not happy about the PR system.
All right. I'm going to stop it right there because I want to talk about the independent candidates. No independent person is going to have a parliamentary seat for sure under the proportional representation system because they will not be able to meet that threshold, absolutely. Except, but it's like a 0 to none chance for an independent candidate to be able to secure a parliamentary seat under the proportional representation system. But let's continue. Let's listen to this. This is very important.
He cannot provide any form of statistics for that. There's no evidence that the majority of citizens are not happy about the PR system. It's just speculations from them as opposition, so for me,
of which you also don't have the statistics also to know if people too.
I love this lady. You see how they are catching up with these guys? Because he's saying Brother Malik does not have any statistics to back up the fact that independent candidates will not survive in the proportional representation system. But he, at the same time, has no data. But this is how they distract you. Distract you from the point that you're making to say that, like, he has a statistics to show. But this lady outed him there very well. I love this lady. That's beautiful. Continue to listen.
Are pleased with this PR system, right?
Yeah, we cannot tell from any statistics for now. But to say for anybody or any civil society advocate to come out and say that the majority of people are not happy about the PR system is a lie.
Which was the same thing he was saying, like he had statistical data, like saying get the statistics for backwitty. They say we're not going to statistics, and Sierra Leoneans don't want the PR system. We've made this very clear all over the country. People don't want the PR system. It's unconstitutional to the point where one of the writers of the Constitution, who is alive, Dr. Abdoulaye Okonte, actually has challenged this PR system in the Supreme Court of Sierra Leone. But till this day, the justices have not sat on that matter for us to have a verdict. We don't know. We know they've sat on the matter, but we don't have a verdict at this particular point. But I'm going to get to that. Listen to this.
It's a blatant lie, and I don't want to buy that. And I don't want I'm ready to contend, to contest that. And the issue around the expiration of constituencies. We know that the lifespan of every parliament lasts for 5 years. And after that, there should be some form of boundary delimitation because the populations would have changed from district to district, from constituency to constituency. So definitely there is need for boundary delimitation. And if we've not gone through a boundary delimitation, definitely the only system that will work is the PR system.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm afraid this is where we've dropped the anchor on today's conversation.
I'm going to let them close, and then I'll take it from where it stopped. Again, I've explained all of that. Constituencies exist. We have these constituencies. That was how the president announced the elections. But listen to the end of the interview as our brother closes it out.
Thank you very much, Abdul Malik Bangura and Frode Kamara, for joining us from the capital of Sierra Leone, Freetown. We do appreciate your contributions to this program.
Awesome, guys. I really wanted to share this with you because I
think
wanted you guys to see
the
this.
point where we're just living for the law court.
Oh, beautiful. Matter of fact, I like this lady, man. This lady is very sharp. Let me show you what this lady is saying again. Let's listen to this lady. She is very, very on point. Listen to her.
At the point where we're just living for the law courts to take... I think this is the point where we're just living for the law courts to take note of, because one side is saying that there have been boundary delimitation, another side is saying that there are not boundaries for this.
I guess the people can make their conclusions too. Draw their conclusions from all of this. Thank you very much for being a...
Guys, I love the closing of this lady. But Sierra Leoneans unanimously across the country, we don't want the PR system. It is known. The PR system is unconstitutional. It has no basis. It is a violation of our constitution. It is again the SLPP. This is their last and final attempt at rigging the elections for 2023. It's all about power grabbing at this particular point in time. They just want to grab power. That is what it is. And everybody has to understand this. And that is why we're calling out these guys for what they're doing. So when you listen to this interview, you listen to the guy who's representing the SLPP, everything is said. was blatantly out of. There is no way they can defend anything he said. There is no constitutional provision to back what he's saying. We have 132 constituencies in Sierra Leone today. And that was what I wanted, News Central to catch. And I hope they'll catch that. Section 38A 1, which is an amended section of the Constitution, makes it very clear that at the time when elections are announced for parliamentary elections, when a date is announced for parliamentary elections, if there are no constituencies existing, but we do know right now that our constituencies are existing because they have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years. And the last time we did a boundary delimitation to get new constituencies was in 2017. 5 years from 2017 is 2022. So we have 2 years to get a boundary delimitation done, to drop these new constituencies. The process itself, it lasts for 2 years. So 2022 to 2024 is when the boundary delimitation can be done. And that is to prepare for the next elections. Not for the election that is coming up immediately after the boundary delimitation is done. No, sir. Again, una understand this. When we do boundary delimitation, it is not for that election that is coming immediately after the boundary delimitation. It is for the next elections there. This is what is actually happening. And we do have boundaries that exist right now that have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years. So even if they are drawn up new boundaries or new constituencies, we will not use those constituencies until 2028. Because we're going to stick with the current constituencies that we have. Because why? They have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years. So these guys failed in all aspects. Again, I showed you guys the World Bank. They did not support the census because the census was the basis for them to conduct the boundary delimitation. The census was a midterm census. Censuses are done in Sierra Leone every 10 years. I want you to take note of these critical points. Every 10 years now they do census in Sierra Leone. The last time we did a census was 2014. 2014 plus 10 should be 2024, right? But we actually did not do the 2014 because we had the Ebola, so we moved it to 2015. Because again, from 2004 to 2015 should have been from 2004 to 2014 is 10 years. But the only reason why we didn't do it then was because of the Ebola. So we moved it to a year and we did the boundary, the census, the housing and population census in 2015. And when we did the housing census in 2015, 2 years later, we did the boundary delimitation, which is 2017.
I wanted to make way more impact. I want to have more meaning in my life.
And I want you guys to understand this. This is what everybody should know. These are the little points because when you want to mount up an argument, you have to understand these dates first. They are very crucial, right? You'd agree with me, everybody. So once you understand these dates, then nobody can mess with you. You understand the dates, you understand the constitutional provision. Section 38(4) and Section 38A(1). And Section 38A(1) is an amended section of the Constitution. So I want you guys to understand these, right? Year and the Constitution. When you put those together, you are grounded. I want to make them very simple for everybody. And I want to make it very simple for News Central as well. Understand the years at play. 2015, we did a census. Censuses are done every 10 years. The last boundary delimitation was done in 2017. And when we do boundary delimitation, those constituencies have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years. So if we have a boundary delimitation that was done in 2017, when this constituency have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years, it means by 2022, last year, was where we can start getting the new boundaries. But because it was not done, which again, the SLPP still have time to do that, even though we don't support the population and housing census because it was unconstitutional. Remember, right? We only have censuses every 10 years. We had the last census in 2015. All of a sudden, in 2020, they want to have a new census, 2021. A midterm census. When European Union, World Bank, they all came out and said, it is not timely. We all saw that. And again, I can put the paperwork them on the screen there for you guys to see. This is what the European Union said about the midterm census. It's unprecedented. Marafala put on the screen, big one, and I want News Central to see this. The midterm census is unprecedented. Because why? We are used to having a census every 10 years. The last census was 2015, so the next census should be 2025. That was why it's unprecedented. 2025, people are dying. Guys, World Food Program, they've already put out a thing where World Food Program made it very clear that hunger and starvation is killing our people today. I hope you guys remember this. So the European Union, they are saying the midterm census is unprecedented. The stated reason for it is highly contested. The use of an optional census to provide data which might be used to change electoral boundaries shortly before an election is not conducive to the political atmosphere or good electoral practice. The mission repeats its recommendation that the voter register should be automatically produced from the civil register, which would save, I want you guys to see this, which would save some money. I'm missing that page. Which will save us some money. So why am I showing you guys this? I want you guys to see what World Food Program said about hunger in Sierra Leone. So those are some of the recommendations that we're making to say, let us go take care of other problems instead of spending this money on a midterm census. So watch this video of World Bank, what World Bank said. Watch this video. I want you guys to see this video of what World Bank reported about the hunger.
Food shortage is not just real, but it's pushing people to the brink of starvation.
There is a real risk that multiple famines will be declared in 2022, and 2023 could be even worse.
Now the people they cry for we. Work out tired. The chop go work you cannot go with because tired again picking. You know go eat o. You are left for pina we do clear give them back. Me they suffer.
Where's don't go with the money all?
Well, where you gonna for tell you man like add back? Anybody knows right now the government is not easy for we at all. We'll try it again.
This now na manage no more I get for manage.
But mama, this your order to manager. That will be. Everybody na salon and a manager. First, they sell rest 3 cup 5,000. Now the rest don't go 1 grade cup 2,000 use. And not to everybody they get that 2,000 for can buy rest.
Last year, after this corona don't come, this 20,000.
Well, the job business with me and my family is not easy with we at all because of the cost of living. Last year, we they manage 5 cup rest. For me, my picking they would eat with the full to family. But this year now, these 3 cup we just the manager because of the cost of living. The Maggie 1,000. 3 for 1,000. Who safe not to win at the transport? Now for low be who safe.
How will the feel safe first? From 7,000 to 8,500. That even give of course even to.
Hey guys, picture right? This was when this was done. This was almost a year ago now, over a year plus ago, when fuel was at 8,500, right? Now fuel is at 20,000. But these guys have not done anything to salvage the hunger in Sierra Leone at this particular point. But listen, continue.
To have a passenger from Boo to Matru is not easy.
Where the salary is not increased, it still stop where it is. As from April last year up to now, we have stopped. We have no increase. Even when you are in classroom, then the child come and say, I'm hungry, your child. That will traumatize you, will not be able to teach. You will go out and when you come in the morning, even you as a matured person, without food, you cannot do anything. And you leave your children to go to school without food. That's all you will think about it. So you will not go into the class and teach well.
The malnutrition cases is increasing. From March up to April, we have now got 40 malnutrition under 5s children. They don't hunger. The father will get chops of maybe so that name men picking the way I get. With that me beyond the way na 5. Now the rest of the it's 15 cups. Now we don't reduct time to 9 cups.
Na ya ko mo nugo. Ta mi na ga agba mo ma mo ife hi ga no ka me ro ta gi amo ta mo go. Ana na ha mo abe mo gwa ma so ku go ga kru wo han kin ga fe no ga we.
Well, because here we do subsistence farming, and there is no mechanized. We are not doing mechanized farming. I only produce very small amount of food for my family, so I get very small yield. In fact, it cannot take a year, then the crops will finish or the food will finish at home.
I want you guys to see that, guys. This is what the World Food Program said about the hunger and starvation in Sierra Leone, and this was a year plus ago. And think about it now. At the time, price of fuel was like 8,500. Now it's over 20,000 leones. So picture the sufferings of our people. So the European Union, the World Bank, all of these people, they said, listen, it don't make no sense for us to have a midterm census. When historically in Sierra Leone, all we've had is 10 years of, censuses. Every 10 years now they get census. Every 10 years now they get census. That is why I want you guys to catch these dates. 2004, the last census we'll get, 2015. Right? So I want you guys to see all of these things and understand exactly what I'm saying. And the last boundary delimitation was done in 2017. And our boundaries have a lifespan of 5 to 7 years. That's the Constitution talking, not me. And that was why I wanted to show you guys this, so you guys can see that the SLPP continues to launder their image. They continue to launder their image, that they fetch all kind of way for let this PR. But let me get to what I really want to show you guys again. Because you see, it is very important for the judiciary, and Babatunde Edwards, who's the Chief Justice, to actually step their game up. Because again, what do we have? Less than 6 months. Actually, we don't even have, it's 5 months to elections. We should not be changing election laws anymore. So let me share with you guys the Chief Justice, the Judiciary, their page, right? This is the page of the Judiciary. Let's share this together. I want you guys to see this. We're not making up this stuff. All right? This is Chief Justice Babatunde Edwards, right here, from the Judiciary of Sierra Leone. Chief Justice Honorable D.B. Edwards has today empaneled, and on this date was December 7th. This was December 7th. Has today empaneled judges to preside over the proportional representation PR system case filed by JFK and partners on behalf of A. Kagbo and other. The CJ, who is the Chief Justice, who doubles as President of the Supreme Court, will preside over the case with 4 other judges. So guys, this is a matter that is very timely. It needs urgency. Elections is around the corner. The Chief Justice, they could pass a ruling today to say the PR is unconstitutional, and it would hold. So again, the judiciary was one of the causes of the rebel war. Let's think about that. The judiciary and the police was the #1 cause of the rebel war. And if the judiciary has a responsibility to prevent another constitutional crisis, because why was the rebel war? Why did Ali Kaba go to Bush Goka with the rebel war? Why did Ali Kaba go to Charles Taylor? To Gaddafi in the Mataba? Why did Ali Kaba go there to start the revolution in Sierra Leone? It is not my words. This is what Charles Taylor said about my guy, about Ali Kaba, right? This is what Charles Taylor said when Ali Kaba went to the Mataba to start the revolution in Sierra Leone. Let's watch that video. And that is why I want to call the attention of the Chief Justice. The #1 cause of the rebel war by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the TRC report, made it very clear that the judiciary and the police was the #1 cause for the rebel war. This is very important for us to discuss these issues in Sierra Leone today. And if the government is going against the Constitution, when the Constitution makes it very clear in Section 38A1, that at the time when the date for parliamentary elections are announced and no constituencies exist, the president may, after consultation with the NEC commissioner, authorize the use of the proportional representation system if no constituencies exist at the time. But at the time when President Bio announced the elections, we all know that constituencies exist. So guys, these are very crucial points that I want to point out to you guys, and I want you guys to see this. The constituencies exist at the time. So if these guys are violating the constitution like that, I want every Sierra Leonean to pay attention, because the judiciary has a responsibility to not sit by and watch the destruction of our democracy in Sierra Leone. We've worked too hard. Ali Kaba, let me play the video of Charles Taylor. I want you guys to see this. Why Ali Kaba went to the bush and how Ali Kaba actually planned the revolution in Sierra Leone. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Liberians were in that first group because you were not concerned and you were not permitted to associate with other groups. The only thing you knew that groups were there because you met their leaders almost on a daily basis, not in the camp, but in Tripoli.
Is in Tripoli, based in the same guest house.
Some were in the guest house. Some were in hotels. Ali Kaba, Kukuya Samba Sanye, myself, most of the West Africans that did not really stay there a whole lot used the Mataba guest house. There was an apartment in Tripoli that I used. Okay, but most of them, and I came to Mataba every day, and as is normal, and I'm sure the judges will understand it. You're from West Africa, of course you want to hang with West Africans. So at the Mataba, most times, Dr. Manny, Ali Kaba, myself will be together, conversing all of the time when I was there. So,
what about Fode Sanko?
Fode Sanko was... I tell you, what I heard of Fode Sanko for the first time on the BBC. Fode Sanko was nothing. He was not at the Mataba. Fode Sanko was apparently one of Ali Kaba's men that were in the camp. Fode Sanko knew my men. I did not know Fode Sanko, just as Ali Kaba did not know my men. No, Fode Sanko was nowhere with the type of credentials to be a member of the Mataba. Because if he had to be a member of the Mataba, then it meant that Ali Kaba would not be there. And it was Ali Kaba there.
And Ali Kaba, that surname Kaba, who's he related to?
Well, I'm going to tell you what Ali told me. Ali Kaba told me that he had been a student, a Pan-African student activist at Froabe College in Sierra Leone. There were problems at Froabe. I think he got in trouble once or twice. Either got thrown out. And I want to be sure of this because again, in Africa, when you say uncle, father, brother, you have to be very careful. But Tijani Kaba, former President Tijani Kaba, Ali told me upon his retirement from the United Nations, where Tijani, I think, had risen to the rank of Under Secretary General, had retired, he sought to move Ali from Sierra Leone.
Who sought to move Ali?
I'm saying Tijani Kaba. Move Ali from Sierra Leone because of the problems he was experiencing, and a few other individuals from Froabe into Ghana and on to Libya, where this whole Pan-African thing was going on. And that's what I know about him, that Ali told me that Tijani is his uncle. Now, I could be asked about this, and I don't know whether it's an African uncle or a biological uncle, because in Africa when we say uncle, it could mean an older man or whatever. But that's how he got there, and Tijani knew he was there. That's what Ali told me.
Okay, so now one more video of the same along the line of why this guy went to the bushes. You see, Sierra Leoneans, the reason why I'm calling the attention of everybody in the judiciary and Babatunde Edwards, this is the letter that was written by Dr. Abdoulaye Conte, who was one of the writers of the Constitution. This is the letter from GFK Farm that they wrote challenging the PR system. And I'm going to read this letter for every one of us. Let's all read this letter together. I'm going to read this letter. The general public is hereby informed. Again, this was November 28th, 2022. The general public is hereby informed that on today's date of 28 November 2022, an originating notice of motion has been filed with the Supreme Court for declaration, amongst others, that the directive issued by the President, retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Maada, to the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone, ECSL, to hold public elections for ordinary members of parliament by the proportional representation system, where there are extant and subsisting constituencies, is inconsistent with Section 38A of Constitutional Amendment Act number 15 of 2001. So he's saying, basically, where they are saying there's no constituencies existing at the time when these elections were announced, right? It will be recalled. Let's do this together, guys. It will be recalled. I'm taking it from the top. It will be recalled that proportional representation is itself a product of its time. It is a fallback position when there are no constituencies or wards for the purposes of public elections in the country. Again, remember, this is Dr. Abdoulaye Conte, the writers of the Constitution, the 1991 Constitution. Dr. Abdoulaye Conte was one of the people who write the Constitution of Sierra Leone. He wrote the Constitution of Sierra Leone. He was one of the writers. Let's listen. This was the rationale and the prevailing circumstances that warranted and justified the amendments introduced in 2001 as now contained in Section 38A of the Constitution. The country had then just come through a brutal and destabilizing rebel war foisted on the country, which resulted in the destabilization of communities nationwide. Apart from the loss of human lives and destruction of property, an immediate effect of such a situation was the absence of settled communities and constituencies. Hence the justification for the introduction of the proportional representation system. It was then seen as a contingency provision and not intended to be a regular format for public or general elections for parliament. Again, this is the letter from Dr. Abdoulaye Conte. Plainly, these conditions do not now prevail in the country, and therefore recourse cannot lawfully and properly be had to such a system in the face of existing constituencies and wards. Hello, pay attention. Let's go, guys. Let's go. All right. Let's go together. We're all together in this one. All right. Furthermore, the power given to the Electoral Commission is to conduct and supervise elections and not to determine the form or mode of elections. Section 68 of the Public Elections Act 2022 is clear as to what constitutes the conduct of elections. To change the format or mode of elections is a matter of primary legislation reserved for the legislature and not the subject of a statutory instrument, which is what they've used today in Parliament. They use a statutory instrument instead of a legislative law. So they are circumventing the Constitution just to pass the PR system. And the judiciary, up till this day, they've not come out with a verdict. And that is why I'm showing you guys why Ali Kaba thought the need to go to the bushes, start the rebel war that cut off people's head, cut people's hands off, split pregnant women belly open, cut off people's hand. But let me finish reading the letter. In all of these, the controversy generated by the purported presidential directive and the irregularity of statutory instrument number 83, 2022 cannot be underscored, as it's degenerated into parliamentary chaos and public shock and concern. That is the statutory instrument that they used. Number 83 was the statutory instrument that they used after the Supreme Court, the justice had already said December 7th, it said I had empaneled judges. They came on December 8th to, actually said they passed the PR system. That is when we know when a case is in front of the court, you cannot again determine anything that has to do with the intricacies of that matter. But let's continue to read this letter. And none of this, go away from the letter. It's degenerated into that. So therefore, the Supreme Court, in the filed originating notice of motion, is urged to declare null and void the presidential directive and statutory instruments number 83 of 16th November 2022 was when they had this statutory instrument, now purportedly laid before Parliament. Counsels on records are Dr. Abdullahi Conte, one of the writers of the Constitution. Imagine, the man who wrote the Constitution is challenging this now. The Supreme Court, in the filed counsels on record are Dr. Abdullahi Conte, Joseph Filjiro Kamara, Africano Sisi, Adi Makol, and Waraseri Kamal, and Gassim Conte. So guys, I want to show you all this because again, this is information that, would help News Central, right? This is the kind of information that they would use in their interviews moving forward. But this has been challenged at this level to the Supreme Court by one of the writers of the Constitution to say that it's unconstitutional for us to use the PR system. So with all the information that I've laid in front of you guys, I hope they're seeing everything that I'm saying. So now when you go back to again, let's go back to Charles Taylor, because guys, the reason why I'm showing you guys this, the judiciary has a responsibility. Justice Babatunde Edwards received this letter from Dr. Abdullahi Conte right here on the 28th of November. Today is what? January 4th. So they had the whole of December to sit on this matter. The Supreme Court did not acknowledge that, they've received this letter to say they've empaneled judges until December 7th, which was like a week later. And then December 7th to date, it's almost going a month. Elections is on the 24th of June. And we cannot be changing election laws 6 months to elections. And we only have 5 months left to elections. So the Supreme Court has a responsibility. Again, I'm not interfering with the case of the Supreme Court, right? But I'm just urging the Supreme Court, because when you read the letter of Dr. Abdullahi Conte and them, it is very clear. They stated that they are urging. Let's find where is that? What paragraph was that? Therefore, the Supreme Court, in the filed originating notice of motion, is urged to declare. You see, guys, right there. Right there. Therefore, the Supreme Court, right here, below me picture, right there, that paragraph. Therefore, the Supreme Court, in the filed originating notice of motion, is urged to declare. Urged. The word urge. We are urging, and that's the same thing I'm doing. I'm urging the Supreme Court to make a decision on this matter, because we are having elections June 24, and we know that it is unconstitutional for Parliament at this particular point, because the matter has already been tabled in front of the Supreme Court. So it is illegal for Parliament to go ahead and pass the PR system on the 8th of December, when the Supreme Court Justice on December 7th told us that they have empaneled judges, which means they don't begin sit up on the case now. They can't sit up on the case. Automatically, the Parliament should have respected the judiciary to say, okay, the judiciary has taken up this matter. We're not going to move forward with this matter anymore. Let's wait for the decision from the judiciary. Guys, I hope you guys are paying attention to these things. But again, I want to paint a picture, because again, in 1979, what John Jerry Rawlings did for Ghana, when made Ghana the project delegate today, Ghana is doing well, relatively in Africa. Ghana is one of the most peaceful countries in Africa right now. They are thriving. They are having their financial woes, but it's because, of course, every country that is going through infrastructural development, my brother Cashbox will tell you that, is bound to suffer these economic woes that they're going through right now. Because they're going through this rapid infrastructural development. They don't take debts them, then they fix their country. So all the debts we take, they are yet to yield fruits, profit from the investments. But it's going to come. It's gradual. Now, in Ghana, they go through their own financial troubles, but Ghana is relatively one of the most beautiful and peaceful countries right now you can think of. I want you guys to understand all of these concepts that I'm giving you. But John Jerry Rawlings of Ghana was the man that straightened up the whole country for Ghana to be where it's at. It's because of people like John Jerry Rawlings. What did he do? When he came, he lined up all these judges, all the corrupt government officials, firing squad. Because that is why he aimed for get rid of all of these people. We know what happened at Salon already. The innocent citizens in Sierra Leone, they've paid the price. People's hands were cut off. Then court people they aided them. Then court they and all them bad happen inside salon. We don't see them. We don't want to repeat itself. That is why the Supreme Court, we are asking them to say the PR system, it is a constitutional crisis. They should have sat on this matter, forgive we a verdict. Everybody, it is a responsibility. We don't tell them how do they do their work, but we urge them for do their job. Now, responsibility as citizens to urge them, to push them. Say, hey, we are waiting on the judiciary. The opposition leaders should push the judiciary to come up with a verdict because nobody wants the PR system. And initially, we even hear leaders from the opposition talking about the fact that they don't want the PR system. We even hear the leader of the opposition, APC, Chinoba, Honorable Chinoba. But now what's happening? What's in change? We already hear this man, the tower behind this proportional representation. What's in change? There are videos where this man tower, Honorable Chinoba, it's tower. Say they don't want the PR system. So what has changed? When now he's silent, he's sitting there. We haven't heard from this man since. What's it go on? And that is why I want to call everybody's attention so we can pay attention to these things. We cannot sit back and allow these things to just fly over our head. Because there are videos to the effect. But look at Babatunde was the Chief Justice of Sierra Leone. To this day, today is January 4th. And he has not. They've not passed a verdict for us to know how are we going to conduct our elections. That is why we say we cannot be changing election laws 6 months to elections. Until this point, we are actually in the process of changing election laws 5 months left to elections. Because why? The judiciary has not done its job. These are the points I'm trying to make, and I want you guys to understand this. And that is why I'm asking you guys, everybody, let us pay attention to what is actually happening in Sierra Leone. But let me take you back. I want to take you back to what Charles Taylor said, because I want you guys to see how conflicts are born in a nation. And we try to prevent another situation like where, John Jerry Rawlings came and cleaned up the system because of corruption. People not doing their jobs. So look at this other video of Charles Taylor talking about Ali Kaba, how he started the revolution in Sierra Leone. Listen to this.
Clear. I did not seek any assistance from Ali Kaba. Ali Kaba did not seek any assistance from me. I said Manny did not seek any assistance from me or Ali Kaba, and vice versa. We were not in a mataba to ask to assist each other in what they wanted to do. We were there to exchange Pan-African jargons and talk about it, but at no time did I promise Ali Kaba or he promised me. At no time did I request from Ali Kaba an assistance, or at no time did Ali Kaba ask of any or for any assistance from me. At no time. Because Ali Kaba's own revolution, as far as he had explained it to me, Ali Kaba, who, by the way, if it were possible, we'll still bring him to this court because I think he's available, he's just frightened. Ali Kaba said to me that within the armed forces of Sierra Leone and the police and the other security apparatus, he had all of the assistance that he needed, and that the men he was training in Libya would return directly to Sierra Leone, and that upon the return from inside Sierra Leone, they will launch the revolution. So there was no request or nothing from him to me or from me to him. It was not necessary. It did not happen. There were no promises and could have never been.
All right.
Clear.
Guys, that's very clear. And why am I showing you guys this? It is because, again, the judiciary has a responsibility at a time like this to give us a verdict. To give us a verdict. This is Chief Justice Babatunde Edwards right here. He has a responsibility to protect our constitution. The PR system has been challenged already by Dr. Abdullahi Okonte and others. And elections is on June 24th, 2023, which is 5 months from now. Parliament is going to go lame duck in about April. President Bio barely has about 80-something days. So when is the judiciary going to give us a verdict? Because again, the Constitution makes it very clear in section 127. Let me show you guys that. Gone too far now. 127. Enforcement of the Constitution. Let me show you guys. I want you guys to see this. Enforcement of the Constitution. A person who alleges that an enactment or anything contained in or done under the authority of that or any other enactment is inconsistent with or is in contravention of a provision of this Constitution may at any time bring an action in the Supreme Court for a declaration to that effect. And that was what Dr. Abdullahi Conte and others did. They've brought this matter to the court, to the Supreme Court, to sit on this matter. What is the Supreme Court waiting for? And this is why I'm showing you guys this. I want you guys to see this matter is with the Supreme Court already. Again, I cannot tell the Supreme Court how to do their job, but we can urge them to get their job done. Because we want to prevent another constitutional crisis. You've listened to Ali Kaba. You've listened to what Ali Kaba, when Charles Taylor was calling Ali Kaba. Say Ali Kaba started a revolution. You will decide whether or not Ali Kaba had enough proof to start a revolution and bring a rebel war in Sierra Leone. That's for you to make a decision on. We saw how innocent people lost their lives senselessly in 10 years. Because of the same things that are happening. Corruption, oppression, suppression. We've seen it. And we cannot sit back and allow these things to fester and continue. This is why we are asking everybody that has a responsibility to step their game up. To step their game up and say enough is enough. Because we don't want a situation where, somebody might come like John Jerry Rawlings of Ghana and clean up all of these corrupt government officials. I'm just making these points clear for everybody. We're not going to time again for election. Why the Supreme Court did not even give a verdict for say the PR system is unconstitutional? Why is it the Parliament would disobey and go against the law and the land? Well, it's sort of like a taboo in the land. Say if the matter is with the Judiciary, it in a court, not talk about the case, not talk about the intricacies of the matter. But Parliament went behind the Chief Justice on the 7th of December. The Chief Justice say he don't empanel judges them for sit on the matter. Ebo, Parliament the next day, December 8th, then they say they don't pass the PR system. They use a statutory instrument when mature December 29. The Supreme Court said today, not sit on this case, for give a verdict on this matter. For tell we say it is unconstitutional. It has been challenged. We have a responsibility, Sierra Leoneans. When Marabiobi they tell we for say, we keep quiet. We should not keep quiet. That's what Marabio say. Marabio say Salon people they keep quiet. When I watch this video, we make the 1992 coup be happen. When they kill Bambe Kamara and all these people because of these kinds of things. Marabio justified the coup of 1992 because he says Salon people they keep quiet. When I watch this video.
Make your own contribution. Speak out. Not be a silent witness to what is happening. Because what may happen will be end up with a 1992 situation because Salomon will keep quiet. The APC don't take moves was an eventual one-party system. They're not make your own contribution. Speak out. Not be a silent witness to what is happening. Because what may happen will be end up with a 1992 situation because Salomon will keep quiet. The APC don't take moves was an eventual one-party system. They're not make your own contribution. Speak out.
Guys, I'm making my own contribution. You that are on this live that have joined me, you're making your own contribution. You're making your own contribution as well. And you're right, Amina, and everybody on the we don't make a comment now. But anyways, guys, it's been 1 hour 42 minutes. But I just wanted to show you guys these stuff, and you have a responsibility to reach out. Like I said again, to this TV in 234 again. I think it's. So I hope somebody can. By the way, anybody wants to call in? Let it be Amina today. Who wants to call in? Somebody just call and make a contribution. I want to hear somebody's voice. This is the number. I'm typing the number on the screen now. Somebody make a call. Somebody call in and give me your take on this matter. I'm putting the number now on the screen. I'm putting the number on the screen. Call right now. I'm putting the number on the screen. If not, I mean, I first call, fine. But anybody, you can call. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Olivette Camara, if you want to participate, check the comment section. I have the number there to call. Call me real quick. Let me hear somebody else's voice on this. I want to hear somebody else's take on this matter. But yeah, these guys are, it was a very, very nice interview by them. Matter of fact, look at their phone number here. So maybe you guys can call them and say, let them check this live out so they can listen to this live and maybe pick out 1 or 2 things that they can use in the future when it comes to some of these conversations about Sierra Leone. I'm sure they're going to need this information. You see the number is on the screen here. News Central TV. 234, I think it's Ghana. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't have time to look it up. But somebody can look it up and tell me. But that's what it is. But I want to show you guys this. Let's call the judiciary. But somebody can go ahead and call in. Call in, let you share your voice with us. Share your perspective on this whole thing. Everything you've listened to what I've said. Share with us your perspective on this. Somebody can call before I hand up the live. I want to give you guys that opportunity. Oh, and by the way, that's on WhatsApp, right? It's easier on WhatsApp. So feel free to call on WhatsApp. But I want you guys to see this stuff. I play this interview. This is their phone number. I'm planning on calling them via WhatsApp to, see if they, want to, give me an interview or something, because I can break these things for them, right there, easily, and take care of, these issues so we can break it down on the screen, right there. It doesn't take much to break these down for them. Since the opposition, guys, they're not, we cannot allow the SLPP to launder their image. So, guys, I'm about to end the live. If nobody is calling, then I'm going to allow Amina for call, because I know Amina, she's willing to call. If nobody wants to call, then I'm going to allow Amina to call. Amina, you can call, because I know you would have something to say. But otherwise, we can round up this live. And whilst we let's listen to this song whilst we are waiting on let's listen to this.
Do the right thing at all times, regardless of who's doing the wrong thing. One evening, on a Sunday evening, I was driving down the streets of Lagos, and I approached a traffic light. There wasn't much traffic going on that day. In fact, there really was no other car crossing past the light. And so I stopped at the right light because it was a red light. And apparently there had been a little buildup of the traffic behind me. But because there was no other car passing across the road, I started to hear the honking.
All right, guys. So I have a caller, my brother from, by Simra. I'm going to bring him on the program now live. Brother Simra, welcome.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the live.
Yes, sir. Welcome. I just called for say thank you so much for the good job we do. For your great perseverance. That's all.
Okay.
Keep on the good job, and we appreciate you. Or the pray God for let God carry on for you strength, energy, and good health to your family for carry on the good job as a patriot. Thank you, sir.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
But brother by Simra, whilst I have you though, anything? Yeah. I know you just joined the live, hopefully, because I know in Switzerland it's like what time right now? How much o'clock you get right now?
We're going out to almost 1 o'clock. Midnight,
okay.
So clean at 1 o'clock.
So it's a little bit late, but Mama gets a lot of experience, and I would like to. I will make this easy on you. You know what happened at Ghana in 1979 with John Jerry Rawlings, right? When we made Delicate today. Talk to me on that, because when you look at the PR system, you know, say Dr. Abdullah Conte, when one of the writers of the Constitution, have actually don't challenge the PR system in the courts, say it's unconstitutional. Then the Supreme Court to this point, to this day, will get less than 5 months to elections, not give you a verdict.
Yes.
Talk to me on that.
Well, actually, just stand like you do all the talking, you don't do all the explanation. What you bring the clean up na Ghana, who cost Jerry Rowling being for really make sure, say, for get rid of all the bad political actors and actresses. So, actually, I believe say the PR system is just everybody knows say you know call for myself for the peace and tranquility of that nation.
Absolutely.
You know, yes, and that. But you don't enlighten all. You don't do this job as you don't persevere, and you know the issues. Everybody knows the issues, but we don't know what they go on. Where some people and just keep quiet. They don't want to speak truth.
Absolutely.
Where truth is due. So now the most pathetically, everybody they get scared, you know, afraid. But talk the truth, not to chew again for praise, you know. I believe say everybody, you know, one in country faith. You know, if somebody do the right thing, then praise them. But if they do the wrong thing, just sound like when you they as friends, you know, they told me in our school, and some of we would in certain jobs that we be say we need quality management. What thing one go wrong, you can tell the person the fact, say, this still what they do, you know, they work for we well. You know?
Absolutely.
But what thing they go on, some people I believe say I'm not able to
Do the right thing at all times,
carry,
regardless of
afraid, you know?
Yeah.
Very afraid or afraid to speak the truth, maybe of one man. One man not able to take care of the entire generation. We have seen it. Only a system, only institution we will take care of entire generation. Even the one they now holding up power, they're not able to take care of the entire generation of power left them. We have seen it with in history repeating itself. Adolf Hitler in Europe, you're not able to take care of the entire generation.
Yeah.
So then therefore change the system, then strengthen institutions. After God and angels, institutions are the best.
Yeah.
They will look after even the current leaders, the generation to come. You know, if you're not president, you know, we will look after the entire generation. Not only institutions the way they've been thoroughly, then we will look after the generation.
Absolutely.
You know, but then, the president, I know we will look after, say, get our money for look after the generation of, you know, my family. Never possible.
Absolutely not.
The only way will help the other coming generation are build strong institutions.
Absolutely.
We will look after unknown generations. But you have done it all. You have said it all. Let me just want to say thank you. You are very persevering. Very, very persevering. You're a busy man. We know what you do.
Absolutely.
You know, highly educated guy. You know, you get a good job in America. We all know that. You know, that's no more also more than just the love of the nation. You are well to do. You know, be self-sufficient. You live better life. You begin all the progress. In fact, the one I just congratulations. I read the other one. In fact, because I read this last day there for the other boy where you became.
Yes.
At least they follow your footsteps.
Absolutely.
Your career, you know, try for build up a career and so congratulations. You're a good father. So
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you, my son.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Same to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
You're welcome.
Yes,
You're
sir.
welcome.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Let's look at some of these comments. Bye. Thank you, Brother Simra.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's look at some of these comments. Oda one call again. Oda the next person. Amina, thank you, by the way, Majid, for letting me know. 234 is Nigeria. Thank you. New Central is at Nigeria. Okay. Thank you so much. I think Ghana is 233. Nigeria is 234. Salon 232. But anyways, thank you, Amina. Appreciate that. Let's see. All right. There goes Amina. Amina, welcome.
Everybody, hi, YouTube and Facebook, all care way to do it. Yes, so
Absolutely.
before I forget, I just want to thank you as well. Because I listen to the you, then there's where they tell communicators say you miss you, bobo, you pass by your room and you see the room was so empty, and I feel good and I feel sad as well because now you dream that that you want to make you can go off to college and I don't go off the military base or something like that. I don't know where he went, but
absolutely.
I think he took a step or something like that.
Yes.
But we just want to congratulate you for that. That we're proud of you and also you're proud dad as well. And
Much
thanks to
appreciated.
Haja for your work because you have to get a good wife for able to take care of the house. So it don't show that. So we just pray that your son will be safe. It will come up flying colors and it make you proud and make a nation the country side born and other side else will go get interest for go serve or try for help one day would never know, because people that they see what they do, then they follow. So we just pray that God keep them safe for we. But also Brother Ivy, come back to Sierra Leone. I just hope that people will sit down and reflect during this 4.5 years, almost 5 years, waiting we don't face in Sierra Leone, the challenges they will don't go through, the intimidations they will don't go through, the brutality, removing parliamentarians, then Speaker of the House can't impose them. The economy is shrinking, brutality that takes place, division is there, tribal line is there. It's just too much for us, so Sierra Leoneans, please, 2023, June 24th, we need to make a change in salon. We need to put sober-minded people in our country. We don't want to go to waiting, JJ Rawlings go do na Ghana because everybody likes it important. But sometimes again, I hate to speak violence. I hate to speak stuff like this. But salon don't reach na the level where to say or they think say okay, if this will continue, I don't know. If we implement JJ Rawlings in style whereby just it's enough for them, corrupt politicians there, so we're not getting the country interest. No, just wipe them out, But like we said, let's give them a chance because
to that point that you're making, Marabio and the NPRC, they actually did. They just destroyed our country further because they were not genuine in their actions of what they actually were fighting against, the corruption that they say corruption, oppression, all of that stuff. They were not just genuine, That was what killed the revolution. But go ahead.
Rachel in Papa was among them people and they were then killed Rachel Bangura. All the stories how they
See?
It's very, very sad. It's very, very sad for
you mean Rachel Bangura, Egatin Shaba's wife?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes,
man.
Yes. Probably there among them people they were then kill and put in a hole and put acid on them and all that stuff and and this guy was part of that thing in the Somada Bio. He was part of it.
Absolutely.
So put on the table around now and say, okay, because of waiting, you can't make you can't change. We'll give you a second chance. But what you can do is the worst. We don't do that, and what we don't do before. So if I just want to please for Sierra Leoneans because we don't want to go to that world where we don't go during 1990 or 1991 during the war where we're little children. By there I was, born they are born. I born them men mean they are born Momo Street, and we can't fit on during the war because it's not for that we still then are both, and we Mende people them and Siniman would they get along. Matter of fact, my husband is Mende. He's Mende Madingo. So we all don't interconnect one way or the other. We don't bomb Pekin. So we just get to continue to stay peaceful, naturally. We get to continue to love with us. We get to embrace with us. So we not let one person divide we. We cannot love one person that the whole nation. That's just impossible. It's impossible. So Sierra Leoneans, let we make up our mind. Let we bring our country back together. Let we embrace with us. Let we try for bring some people that will can boost the economy for we. And more especially, unite we back because we miss that. We miss that. People are suffering. A bag of rice is 600,000 leons. Or about now 500,000. Things are going up. Salary, they go up. Why do you think we should vote for him? It already telling us CNN and say, we will carry the burden of Sierra Leone. Sierra Leoneans, that statement alone is enough for me to not get mad at the regional power.
Absolutely
the same, you can't say the first government will subsidize. And you call Combra, but when you come, you take all subsidies out because who you want to impress? IMF, we consider call them waiting, but you people they don't suffer.
Absolutely.
They suffer. So Sierra Leoneans, man, come on, let's wake up. Let's wake up, the man don't do is so boffo. It don't capture the institutions them. The cost of living is just going on the rampage. Human rights is not there. They violate everything where we get as people, and the economy is being mismanaged. The list is long and long and long. So Sierra Leoneans, man, please, let's sit back. Let's rewind the tape. Let's ask ourselves, say, now this life now one for live. Now this condition one for left with the kingdom. Now this condition one for left we generation yet unborn. Please, we have to sit down. We have to fix the country. We have to love ourselves. Let us embrace ourselves. Salon a sweet country. Salon a very beautiful country. The Black Johnson, they're there taking the land. We still learn to get power. Now we you land. Now we you country, not get power. People they can do illegal mining. Where all those money? Not to say they don't know. They know. I was watching a video the other day behind Thailand. The Chinese are there that they mine and gold.
See?
The government of the city, they don't know. They know. And this report came from Liberia because they're close to Kailao.
Yeah.
This is somebody from Liberia who report that thing there. Is the answer say, is this real? Are you for sure? He said, yes, it's real. It's happening. Illegal mining in Sierra Leone. Second we go there, you see, train and they pass and they put iron all inside the bauxite and this and that.
Absolutely.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
We have all those things. Let's put sober-minded people. I'm not here to campaign for SLP or APC, but all I can say is, Brother IB, get ready for 2028. Femi Claudius Cole, get ready for 2028 because those are the two people that are on my list. That if APC come into power, they don't do good. For me, I'm ready to vote anybody out. And they encourage everybody. One person come and not do good, take them out.
Absolutely.
It's about
Absolutely.
It's not about one tribe. We all get to enjoy the good people.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Sierra Leone is our country. So thank you so much, Brother Ivy, for giving me this time.
I mean, you've been. I don't know. At this point, I'm learning from you now. But very powerful. I appreciate that. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Brother Ivy, you teach me alarm so much so that you don't make me every time.
Thank you. Okay.